Gotcha. Now let me see if that'll work. Da, 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 da. And it's not going to do it. Okie doke. Well, anyway. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Renew Your Spirit. I'm your host, Lynn Gaffin, and it's lovely to have you all with us today. My guest today is somebody that has fascinated me ever since I met her.
Thank you.
Yeah. Linda MacCoy. She is an animal communicator, which absolutely blows my mind, as well as a medium. And I want to hear all about it. The animal communication. I got kind of gotten a handle on the mediumship, but I want to find out about the animal communication, because that's really interested me.
Well, what do you want to know? I could tell you some great stories.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, I want to know how you got started with it.
Well, it started when I was very little. I just didn't know what it was. I was maybe 5, 6 years old, and my mother would tell me to go get dirty and go out and play, and I'd go out into the woods because we had quite a bit of land, and I'd go out in the swampy woods and I'd sit on this rock, and the bears would come and the lions would come, and I would talk with them, and I'd come back in after a while, and my mother'd say, "So what were you doing?" And I'd say, "I was talking to a bear," or "I was talking to a lion." And she'd say, "Don't be ridiculous." And and I always felt what animals were feeling. I could pick up a salamander and I clearly knew that I was not supposed to be holding him. And they would like just squeak and squawk and carry on. And I'd say, "Okay, okay, okay, I'll put you down." When animals I had 47 head of livestock as I got older. But when I was little, we had sheep and I had chickens. And I always knew when it was their time. And they would just say, "It's okay." And, so we would and sending them to market, that was really interesting. I'd say, "Oh, we have to send you today. I guess you're going to be dinner." And they would say, "It's okay. We had a good life." And so I learned that their passing, even for food, really was okay. And that was actually reinforced when Penelope Smith, one of my mentors, said to me that she talked to a rabbit on a rabbit breeding farm. And she said, "Well, aren't you worried about dying?" And the rabbit said, "I'm in a cage. I'm protected. I don't have to worry about anything getting me. Everyone dies, and I get to look out at this beautiful feed, and I get fed every day." And so animals don't feel the same way about death that we do. But, talking to them, I just always knew what they were saying. And so years later, I was breeding llamas because my mother wanted a llama in her old age. And so we got one, and then we got two, and ended up with 20. But I went to a seminar, one of the big group meetings for llama breeders, and Penelope Smith was there. And she was talking about how she communicated with animals and all of that, and talked to some of the llamas for us. And I remember leaving that saying, "God, I wished I could do that." I didn't realize that that's what I did when I was little, but I said, "Oh, I wished I could do that." And so about maybe 10 years later, Penelope was teaching out at it's the place out in Western Mass, Kripalu. And I went to her Animal Communication 1, and I was hooked up with a woman who turned out, I was working for HSUS, Humane Society of the United States, as a community disaster planner. And the woman I was teamed up with was on the board of directors for the Humane Society of the United States, which was really interesting.
Oh, wow.
And she wanted to know why her dog was afraid to get up on the bed, the big dog, not the little dog. And I connected with them, and I found out that her Basset Hound thought people were very tall, that he couldn't understand the tall, long legs, and that the reason he wouldn't get up on the bed was because the little dog bit him and told him it was his bed. And she said, oh, that never happened. And Penelope said, actually, it did. That's exactly why the big dog doesn't get on the bed with the little dog. And after the course was done, Penelope took me aside and said, Linda, you've got it. And I was, grinning from ear to ear, thought everything was perfect in life. And that was 27 years ago. And so I've been working at it, and it's become better and better. Dogs are very easy. Cats are a little snobby sometimes. Different animals are different, but that's basically how I got started. And I took the advanced course in animal communication. I've done several retreats with Penelope in Arizona, and it's just growing by leaps and bounds. And the more, it's like even mediumship, the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
And the better it becomes. But I've been talking to animals since I was little. It's been fun.
Sounds wonderful. Now, when you talk to the animals and they talk to you, do they talk to you in your language, or is there a translation thing?
No, usually it's a lot like mediumship. I just know. And
Okay.
the animals do speak to me in human English form. When Patience, and everybody pretty much knows Patience, when Patience tries to talk to me in her dog language, I don't understand a thing she says. And she will carry on for 5 or 10 minutes sometimes. And I'm like, Patience, I don't know what you're talking about. And then she sends me a picture. Uh-oh, I hit something. Did I lose you?
No.
Okay, where did I go? I just have Zoom on my thing.
Oh, I see you.
I don't see anybody. Isn't this weird? Let me back up. Hold on one second.
Yep.
Maybe it'll bring it back. Nope, launch meeting. Well, we're going to keep going here.
Okay.
Well, oh, wait a minute. There you are. Hi.
Hi. Oh, electronics. Yes, it is.
I know. You got to love them. So Patience will send me photos. And very often when I'm communicating with an animal, I'll see a photo of what it is that they're talking about. And when people want to begin to communicate with their pets, I always tell them, if you're teaching a puppy to sit, picture him sitting or her sitting.
Oh.
So in your mind, picture what it is you want them to do. Because it will help, because then they'll get it. And you start to set up that communication with your pet or with another animal, that you can now begin to receive the pictures that they do. Very often an animal will show me a cage, if they've had to live in a cage for a while, or they may show me a truck with a lot of dogs on it, or they may show me a picture of their home and where they want to be. Many years back, I had a dog was trying to explain to me where it was living, and I literally could draw the whole living room where that dog stayed. They will send pictures. So it's like mediumship. What you see, what you hear, and what you feel, trust it, because that's probably what they're trying to say. And the more you trust it, the easier it becomes.
Now, do you get validation with speaking with the animals?
Yes, but it often comes from their human counterparts.
Right.
So a lot of times when I work with, and most of it is dogs, but I've had some horses. I had some Percherons, which are large draft horses, that I got a chance to talk to, and we were trying to figure out what was going on with them. But we'll talk about dogs, because dogs are really easy, and that's what most people want to know about their cats too, but you can't always trust a cat. I lost track of the question, Lynn. What was the question?
Is there a validation when you're speaking with with an animal?
Okay, so typically, and I think one example is really good. I went and did a healing, spiritual healing with a dog of a friend of mine in New Hampshire. And Bella was a rescue dog that they couldn't get near. So they would have to get up from the couch, put the treat over by the door to their living room, and then go back and sit down on the couch. And Bella would come and get the treat and then run off.
Mm.
And oh God, I hit the thing again. And I did a healing, which takes, I think it took me 20 minutes to do the healing. And that was on a Wednesday. On Friday, they took Bella to the Cape and were throwing a Frisbee, and she was bringing the Frisbee back to
Oh
them.
my gosh.
For them. She actually even sat and put her head on Jane's lap while Jane was giving her a treat and petting her. So it usually comes from the counterparts. Sometimes the animals will say, I feel better. You know, some of the animals actually have heard before I get to them that I'm going to help them. Some of it is from some spirit guides. I have a dog that had passed many years ago, Buffy, who will very often go in advance and sit down with them and talk to them and tell them what's going to happen. So they're already prepared a lot of times. And occasionally they'll say, that feels better. I don't feel like my stomach hurts anymore. Or I don't, very often it starts in the stomach and the healing, and it comes up and gets stuck in their throats because they don't feel that they have a voice. I have a friend who is looking at getting a dog, and the dog is very afraid because it's never, this dog is a show dog, and he's actually being given up because he's sterile. So he can't reproduce, and even though he's close to a champion, well, he is a champion, but I mean he's winning all the shows, but he can't reproduce, so they're adopting him out. And he said to me that he's very excited because he heard that my friend won't judge him for that. He feels like a failure.
Oh.
And you know, people don't realize that. You know, we talk in front of our pets all the time, and what we're going to do if they're getting ready to transition, and how they understand everything we say. We don't understand what they say. So it's difficult for them sometimes. They sort of have to suck it up a lot.
Right.
So
Now,
be careful, it's like kids. Be careful what you say in front of them.
Right, yeah. Now, this friend, Bella was the dog's name?
Bella.
Did you find out what was wrong with her, that she was so afraid?
She was a street dog.
Oh.
And so she would get food in the back of this restaurant in New York City, and she would get food in the back of the restaurant, and they would obviously chase her off and shoo her away and throw things at her. And so she learned to step back from humans. Yeah. But she's doing great now. She's not a dog. Like I actually finally met her after like 5 years. And even though we could still communicate, she didn't want to come right over to me. You know, after a while, she walked by me and she was okay. She knew it was me, but she was like, oh, that's not what I thought you'd look like. So I'm like, really? What did you think I was going to look like? She said, I thought you'd be younger. She said, I pictured you with dark hair, not white hair.
Oh, geez. Now, do you teach?
I do occasionally. I have taught, in fact, I think I might be teaching at Pine Grove, although my TP adventure has moved up to this coming summer rather than the following year. So I'm not sure I'm going to have an opportunity to teach over the summer, but we're going to be doing other workshops. I have done them. I get a good response, and according to some of the folks that I've worked with, they say that they're able to understand how to communicate. It's not as hard as some people would make you want to believe. If you're going to do a course and you're going to do a lot of work in it, then I would highly recommend going for a weekend of really intensive animal communication. But it's not, I say it all the time, it's not rocket science. It's actually very simple, and you just have to keep it simple. So a 2-hour workshop will actually help people to communicate with their pet. You know, maybe not all, but most people are already communicating. They just don't know it. You know, their pets are sending them messages like, you know, what do? We go, oh, would you like a treat?
Yeah.
Guess who sent that to you?
we all talk to the animals, and it's always in a baby talk, oh, it's a baby,
And they think that's okay. They think that humans are a little strange anyway. So it's
as long as they get fed and taken out. Yeah.
and they like treats, and they'll tell you if they don't want to be petted. Usually they'll just get up and get down. They'll get up from wherever they're at and move. If you keep persisting, like children will often persist and persist and persist, then they might growl. And if somebody doesn't back off, eventually they'll bite. All dogs across the board, all dogs, all animals will defend themselves.
Yeah.
All dogs will bite given the right set of circumstances. But overall, I tell people all the time, Patience is 10, she's never bitten yet.
Now, how did you get her?
Patience was born at Animal Rescue League in Boston.
Is she in the area? Is she around?
She's in the bedroom.
Oh.
Okay. It's a rainy day, okay?
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, I'll just lay out. Patience, you want to come and say hi? No sound. No, she's I had a dog named Brandy, who was an Australian cattle dog and chow. And at 13 had to be put to sleep. And I immediately went online and started looking for a dog, because I'm never without a dog. I mean, it's just part of my nature. And so I found that through a criminal case out of Westport, Mass, this is 2010, there was a litter of puppies at Animal Rescue League in Boston, and I had been doing their spay-neuter program with them. And so I contacted the woman that had the puppies. They moved 12 puppies and mom from Boston at Animal Rescue League to a private home in Wellesley, where they turned a huge room into what they called the puppy palace. And they had people around the clock feeding these puppies.
Oh.
And okay, so is Patience a rescue? On paper. But boy, I'll tell you, she grew up in Wellesley that first 8 weeks. And anyone who knows Wellesley, it's a very, very wealthy town outside of Boston. And so she thought moving to Hanover with me was sort of a backward step, She, but I picked her out, and let me tell you how I ended up with Patience. Brandy passed, and I told Brandy that I needed another dog, and I talked to Spirit. I need another dog, but I don't want a dog that's dog aggressive like Brandy was, and I want a dog that will let me pet her. And so, okay, that was fine. I go to Animal Rescue League. Oh, the first time I talked to Brandy, I have to start this back a little bit. The first time I talked to Brandy, I was coming home from a flight from Washington State, and was reading Penelope Smith's book because I was going to Arizona that weekend. And I thought I had talked to Brandy. And I said, when I get home, I want you to lick me on the lips 3 times if I was talking to you, which is, I mean, that's just not something she would ever have done.
Yeah.
I got home, she was on the bed, and I said to her, okay, how are you? What are you supposed to do? And she licked me as clear as day 3 times on the cheek. And being the anal retentive human that I am, I said, it was supposed to be on my lips. And with that, she turned around and licked me 3 times on the lips.
Oh my God.
So that's my first conversation with Brandy. When I went to look at these 12 puppies, I had picked 3. And the first one I picked up, and it squirmed around, and I said, nah, I don't think I want that dog. And I picked up Patience, and I held her, and she kind of looked at me, let me pet her, but then she started to squirm, and I said, I guess you're not the one. And she flipped around in my hands, as puppies can do, flipped around in my hands and licked me on the lips 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, that's
So
my
cute.
dog. I never looked at the third dog. I
Yep,
never picked
yep.
it up. I said, nope, that's my dog. I know it. And I brought her home. And I said to Spirit and Brandy and Buff and all of my little guides, I said, look, if this is Brandy reincarnated, I want to know. And how am I going to know? And they said, look for a yellow heart. And I thought, okay, fine. So I'm going along, And one day in my car, I had a little heart from Humane Society. It was silver, and it all of a sudden flipped to the other side, and it was a yellow heart.
Oh my gosh.
So I know reincarnation is a sort of a touchy issue in spiritualism, but
Okay.
I really feel that Patience is Brandy, and I have no doubt in my mind. And I actually sometimes call her Brandy. Also, her ear, not the one that got hurt, not the one that she had the hematoma in, but her other ear tilts exactly the same as Brandy's ear that tilted.
Oh,
And Brandy's ear tilted because she ran into a car and broke the cartilage in her ear. But Patience has the exact same bend in her ear.
yeah.
So there are so many similarities and things that just make you realize it. And I've been talking to her forever. I mean, I used to say to her, I don't know what I'm going to name you. And I'd hear Patience. And I go, yeah, I know. I need to be more patient. And one day, I mean, she was like, I'd had her probably 2 months. So she was like 4 months old. And I go, I just have got to come up with a name for you. And then I hear Patience. And I'm like, oh my God, you're telling me what your name is. So, we don't always listen to what we get, got to trust what you get.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's how I got her.
And she's such a sweetheart.
She is.
She really, I love it when she comes to church.
Thank you. She'll be 11 next year. She's 10 and a half.
Really.
Yep.
Good for her. That's great. Now, what would it be your most unusual encounter with an animal?
Oh my gosh. It's got to be one of a couple. Oh, I had come home. This is a few years back when I was first really understanding what I could do. And I had a friend of mine had Alzheimer's, and I had moved back to Massachusetts to take care of Edward. We found a house that worked for everybody. And my partner at the time, also Lynn,
Okay.
we sat down for supper, and I'm hearing, help me. And I'm like going, okay, did anybody else hear that? And they're like going, hear what? And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. I blew it off. Well, another minute later, I hear, help me. And I'm like going, what the heck? I said, you guys aren't hearing that? And they said, no. And I heard it like over and over, help me, help me. And I'm like going, okay, this is weird. So I go over to the window where the sound is coming from. I had put ant traps out. It was an ant that was stuck in the ant trap. And I'm like, oh my God. And my whole body, I just panicked. I didn't know what the heck to do. I did a horrible thing. I filled the sink with water and put the thing in the sink, and I threw away all the rest of the ant traps. I was like, oh my God, I killed an ant. I'm like, I can't do this. But it was, and I laugh about it now, but at the time it was really quite unearthing because, this poor little ant is trapped in an ant trap, and I'm trying to get rid of the ants because they were coming in, and I'm like, oh my God. And so what did I do? I killed it anyway. So So you do, that's probably one of the funniest, most sort of bizarre situations I ran.
Oh my Lord.
I had a fox on my morning walks here in Connecticut, and I had a little fox, and I was a little nervous because, a lot of fox are sick when they're out, but this was fairly early in the morning, and I was a little nervous because the fox started walking toward me, and I just said, don't come near me. And the fox was turned around and ran in the other direction. And I hear, I wasn't going to hurt you. And I said, oh, now I feel bad. I just lost everybody again. Just bear with me. I'll come back in a minute. Oh gosh, I don't know what happened to it. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's this. There we go. And I touched this keypad, and it just, maybe I should take the keypad off.
Yeah. Or put it down.
Here,
Yeah.
we'll take the keypad off. Hello.
There you go. There you go. Whatever works. We don't care.
I know. You guys are great. I love your church, by the way.
Thank you.
I can't wait until we can all get back and come
Yeah.
together again, and
Yep.
it's just timing.
Yeah. So you were telling me about the fox.
Oh, so the little fox. Well, what I found when I walked a different direction, someone said to me, well, the fox den is down over, on the Connecticut land, blah, blah, blah. So I started walking in that direction and I found the fox den, and it's just going in under a tree. Like anyone who's done like the lower, middle, and upper journeys with shaman or
Okay.
Native American, it was like going into the lower world, because it's a hole at the tree, at the base of the tree, but you can see where they've pushed all the dirt out. And Connecticut has sandy soil. I'm interested in that because I grew up in a swamp.
Yeah.
But you can see where they've pushed the sand out, and the fox has been coming even closer. The fox 2 or 3 times has started to come up to me, but I have Patience with me now, and Patience kind of looks, and the fox turns around and just goes in a different direction. So I haven't had a chance to encounter the fox, but he's around and he's very cute.
Oh,
Yeah.
you hurt his feelings.
I did. And I was crushed when I realized what I had done. I mean, I felt so terrible. I kept saying, "It's okay, little fox." I'm like sending him out messages. I feel like a Martian.
Now, are there any animal? Is there any animal that you have not been able to communicate with?
Individual animals. Just recently, as a matter of fact, another friend of mine, or a colleague, or somebody I was working with, I think it was a client actually, had 2 dogs. And the first dog I worked with, and we resolved the stuff that was going on, and it was through transition and all of that. But she had another dog that just didn't seem like it was fitting in. And the dog just said to me, "I am shy. I'm not a sheep." Okay, this is a sheep farm. So it's in Michigan, Paw Paw, Michigan, of all places. And I've known Sammy for years, and so I know she won't care if I talk about her. But they have a Great Pyrenees that lives with the sheep, and along with 2 other they have 3 that help take care of the sheep flock. And this one, they can't get close to. And the dog just absolutely does not want to communicate, does not want to do anything, just tells me, "I'm not a sheep." I said, "Well, I know you're not a sheep. I don't want to talk." And her life prior to coming to this sheep farm, I'm beginning to think she may have been from a puppy mill situation.
Okay.
And then went to a family of sheep herders, and didn't do well there at all, because they couldn't work with her to get her to do most of their dogs would come in the house, they play, they'd be in the barn, and they were human friendly.
Mhm.
She didn't fit in. And so when Sammy took her, they've just worked with her, but they literally have to pen her to get her to come to them in order to catch her, to groom her. And
Oh,
anybody knows the Great Pyrenees, they need to be brushed. Um, but she doesn't want to talk. She said, "No, I have nothing to say. This is who I am. I don't talk. I don't want to be petted. I just want to do my job. But I'm not a sheep." That was very important.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So just like humans,
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
personalities. I know some of the folks have asked me to talk to their cats, and if they send me a picture, I talk to the cat and find out what's going on. And 90, probably 97% of the time, it's right on the money what they're sending me. So I know I can talk to cats, but cats are a little harder. Sheep are easy because, we all know they don't have the biggest brain.
Mhm.
So they're pretty easy. Cows. Oh my God, cows will talk about anything.
Really?
Oh, and they will tattle on each other. They're so funny. You know, do you know I'm not trying to do a commercial for milk, but cows give milk. Uh, the God, California cows, when they remember they used to come and they would talk, and
Yeah.
now it's a little different, but in the beginning they would have the herd talking and they'd talk about each other. That's exactly what they do. She didn't give enough milk today. I mean, they're really funny. They're like, oh, well, and my family were dairy farmers. So it was really funny. I haven't had a lot of communication with pigs, but usually if I just show them I want them to lie down so I can pet their bellies, they do it. But I haven't had a lot of them talk to me, but I haven't had a lot of opportunities either. So, pigs are a little different.
Mhm.
I had someone bring me, I do workshops and um, usually behavior seminars with people in Massachusetts at one of the doggy daycares. And it's a huge doggy daycare. Well, they have chickens at this daycare, and they brought me a chicken because they were worried she wasn't eating well. She said, I'm old. I said, is she like 8? And they said, yeah, she's 8, 9 years old. And I said, well, she's getting older. She's not laying the eggs and she doesn't want to eat as much. She's on a diet. So it's really funny what these animals will come up with. But I can also help them by doing the spiritual healing with them. Um, so a lot, that's mostly what I get calls. I get calls on transition. I get a lot of calls about transition. Is it time? And the dog will let me know. They will tell me if they're ready. And I think people need to understand, and our pets, our animals, they see transition very differently from humans. They will miss us for 2 weeks. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
animals do. When you transition them, or if you move them from one place, it takes them 2 weeks. Um, but if they're going to transition to the other side, they know that they can talk to us. They know that they can be around us. They know they're going to get to play with their friends, and they know that the body will be gone that's giving them so much pain. So they have no issues. It's not like humans who are like, oh my God, I'm going to miss you, or
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't want to die. I'm not quite sure of why we don't want to die. My parents raised me differently, but
Well,
animals
I
don't
think,
have.
yeah, I think most of it is a fear.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Fear.
I agree.
Yeah. I think that's why we don't want to die.
Yeah, I mean, and animals go back and forth.
Mhm.
And it's always been said that people with Alzheimer's, towards the end stages of Alzheimer's, go back and forth.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
I can usually tell if someone's going back and forth because I'll see their souls in a different place.
Wow.
With animals, it's much the same. If I'm talking to them here on the earth plane, I know they're here. If I'm talking to them in the spirit plane, then I know that they've already passed. So when animals are missing, it took me a long time to be able to, it's only been in the last probably 6 months that I've actually been able to pick up the difference between being on the earth plane and being on the spirit plane,
Oh, okay.
especially with animals that are missing.
Oh, really? I
Mm,
know cats when they're ready to go, if they're outside, they'll just go off by themselves and go.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I know my cat, I had to put her down, and she came to me the next day. I know she did.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
and and then after that, I haven't heard anything from her. She may be
Mhm.
around, but I haven't felt it. But that one time that she came the next day, and I just know it. She just knocked over a cup that I was working with, and she had never been on the counter before, but she knocked it over, and I said, "Oh my God, Misty, you're here!"
Yep.
And yeah,
It's
yeah,
nice to be able to do that. And, they don't have to come all the time. I think, some people need their pets to be with them all the time.
Mhm.
But most of us, it's enough to know that they're okay and they're just coming for a quick visit, and then they go back with their friends.
Yeah,
Um, when I first started doing mediumship, it was the pets that would come and bring the humans with them. They would help me
Mhm.
that way because
Mhm.
I struggled going straight to the humans. And so the animals would come and we'd talk and they'd say, oh yeah, I've got so-and-so here with me. So they know.
Okay, speaking of you and mediumship, how did you get started with that, with mediumship? I mean, was it kind of an offshoot of the animals or?
Yeah, I came in sort of the back door, and I know you know Rita Berkowitz.
Yeah.
Rita and I lived in the same town, as a matter of fact. We both lived in Norwell. I grew up in Norwell. She used to come see the llamas all the time with her kids, I mean, but we had never connected. And I went to her for a reading, and she said to me, Linda, you do understand you're a healer, right? And I said, no, I didn't know what I did was as a healer. And so I decided I wanted to learn more about mediumship, and I took her course. And I realized that I actually could do it. That was back, oh God, Edward was still alive. I'll bet you it was 10 or 12 years ago. So animals I've done forever. But humans, I always could connect with a human's energy. I always knew things were going on. I always could sense where they were in their hearts. God knows we don't know what the heck humans do in their heads, but I could always connect. I could always connect with the heart.
Yeah.
And so when I went and did the mediumship and it was much the same as with the dog. I was able to bring someone's relatives. And, ironically, the woman had a poodle with her. I'll never forget, she had a poodle. And I didn't say, this woman has a poodle, yet that would have helped the other person that I was working with in the class. Oh, I know why I took Rita's course. It just dawned on me. Everybody knows Verlene.
Yeah.
I was in Rhode Island at the Rhode Island church. It's not one of the national churches.
Right.
And sadly it had to close, but because of COVID. But I was at that church and I stayed for Verlene's class afterwards. And that was when I started learning about it. And I was with another one of our favorites, Jean Mandeville.
Oh, yeah.
I was paired up with her. Verlene paired the two of us. And I actually got from Jean, she had been to Hawaii. And I was like, huh. And I was like talking about this and everything. And she just said, can I tell her now? And Verlene said, sure. She said, I just got back from Hawaii. And I did another class with some of the other, folks. I know Joanne Gerber just got she just was ordained. And I took classes with her through the church. And then I took the class with Rita. I decided I wanted to learn more because I was able to do it. And I found that I don't always, I do now, but in the beginning, I didn't always say everything I saw because I thought it was too nutty.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
What I have learned is it's those bizarre behaviors or that bizarre item that confirms and validates everything for the person that I'm reading. So that's how I got into it. I started in the spiritualist church and then went and took courses. I took 2 courses with Rita. So I took her advanced course afterwards. And I've just moved on since then. I keep doing it. And I seem to get better the more I do it.
Absolutely.
Which is really the whole key. It's about trusting what you get. And it's about putting it out there, even when it seems bizarre, and I'll say that to people. I'll say, this seems a little strange, but, this is what I'm getting. And I'm always amazed at what actually
I know.
I actually get.
Yeah. Like somebody will validate and I say, really?
Yeah.
That makes sense to you? Yeah.
I had popsicles one day. I'm like, what is with banana popsicles? Okay. And it was like their favorite thing when they were sick. Everybody got them banana popsicles.
I know it's like a muscle. You have to keep using it. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. I know in my class, I've been having everybody else do the work. And then all of a sudden I think, I got to get in there and do something because, they're doing great and I don't feel that comfortable anymore. So
Oh, wow.
really,
Yep.
really have to get in there and work up that muscle again because I haven't done it in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it really
Yeah.
does make a difference.
Yes. I mean, I think all of us have natural abilities, and then there are those things that we have to work at. For me, doing healing work is a natural
Mm-hmm.
piece.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to think about it. I don't have to train to do it. It just happens. And it's happened since I was little. I remember being, I don't know, I think I was maybe 13 or 14. And I realized that if someone had a headache and I touched their finger, I could pull their headache out of them.
Oh my goodness.
And so when my friends, I was in prep school because I'm a preppy. Um, when, yeah, I know, right? Don't blame me. It wasn't my fault. My parents did it to me. Um,
Love it.
but I remember saying to one of the kids, somebody had a headache, and I said, well, I was going out of the dorm, and I said, well, just touch her finger and take her headache away. Really? So now I'm a fruitcake in school, all right? But people couldn't believe it. I could do it. And I now do it very differently. I just sense their headache, and I can remove it. I can just kind of put my hand in a position that would be, to remove the headache. So headaches are easy for me, but other things, I'm just able with dogs now. All I have to do is see their picture or connect through their human to them, and it just flows right out of my system. I don't even
Wow.
have to,
Yeah.
I don't really have to think about it much anymore. Some dogs I have to connect with, and I just bring them and picture them with their back into my chest along my body, and then I just hold them, and my body will pick up all of their stressors and move it out.
Now you don't keep it. You don't hold it in. You
No,
let
I
it
burp
go.
a lot.
Okay.
I
Whatever
don't know.
works.
It used to be really embarrassing, and I would say, I think I'll do this on my way home. And the reason I do that is because I burp. And I'm like going, that would be really weird for somebody to see. So, but no, literally, whatever is stressing them, I feel in my system, in my body. And sometimes it starts like in the lower abdomen, like a base chakra kind of thing. Or sometimes it'll start in my chest, and it's different from if I'm feeling something that's medically wrong. Something medically wrong, I feel differently, and it will just flow up and out. And as I said, very, very often it gets stuck right up in my throat, and it takes me a while to get it up and past that. But 10 to 20 minutes is the max I ever spend on it, and I have no feeling of it afterwards at all. I do when it's
working with animals. How is it working with people too?
Yeah, I can do it with humans. I try not to because I do spiritual healing, like church healing, with humans. I'm very cautious about, for 100 reasons, I'm very cautious about bringing someone's energy into my system and releasing it. It does it the same way as animals, other animals, because everybody's an animal.
Yeah.
So it happens the same way, but I'm much more cautious about it. I have a lot of reasons for that.
You work with broken bones.
I don't know. Maybe you need help.
Well, the reason I ask is I have this broken
broken bone. Sure, I'll work on it when I'm out and about. And yeah, I'll do that. Sure, absolutely. I don't know if it'll help, but it won't hurt.
Well, the doctor has told me that it's not going to heal. I should have surgery. And I said, I don't want surgery. It's going to heal.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. I will. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
I will. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what spirit can do. I mean, it really isn't up to us.
I understand that. Yeah.
I know you do, but yeah. I don't know who's going to watch this. I want to make sure they know it's not me. Yeah. There's no, it's funny. You can ask spirit really anything.
Yeah.
I call him spirit, and I don't care if it's God, infinite intelligence, whatever it is, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
And you can ask spirit, and people, don't feel bad that you're asking them for help,
Oh, no, 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 I know.
I know you don't, but
Yeah.
for those
Yeah.
folks that listen to this,
Yeah.
it's, it's all okay. But I will definitely work on your arm.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're
And I
welcome.
definitely will
Thank you
keep
for
you posted.
asking.
I definitely will keep you posted. You have
Yeah.
my permission to do whatever you have to do, because there's a bone there that isn't supposed to be where in the position that it's in. That's why it's not going to heal right.
It's in this lower part, right in
Nope,
here,
it's in the elbow.
in the elbow. Okay, closer down. Okay, got it.
In the elbow, right? It is the elbow.
What do they want to do? Put a pin in or something?
No, they want to give me a new elbow.
Oh, geez. Yep.
And I don't want to go through all that.
Yep.
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 I'd have to go to Yale and, well, there you go. I'd have to go to Yale and and I don't want to do that. I think I'm going to heal it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or it will heal itself. I will get it to heal itself, whatever it's supposed to do.
It will.
Good, good, good.
Okay.
Now, is there anybody that you have not been able to read for? I have had those.
You
And
mean
what do you do?
humans or animals?
Humans.
I've had people that were difficult. I actually was doing a weekend work. It was I'll tell you what, it was Crystal Visions at they were doing one of their weekend medium weekends.
Mhm.
And there was a woman that I just couldn't connect. And no matter what I said, it
Yeah.
was not. I mean, she just was really having a tough time. And I just said, please come with me, because clearly I'm not the person to do your reading. And I took her to the folks and I said, can you have someone else work with this lady? She's a great lady, but
Oh, yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
clearly not working. So yes, and I through a little investigation, I think when that happens, because it will happen to all of us at some point, I don't own it.
No,
Be-
no, no. Mm-mm.
because it's the spirits and people's beings or their souls that are not melding. Now, and I say this to everybody, people come to us and say, oh, when's my boyfriend going to come? Or when is this going to come?
Yeah.
You know what? There are so many wills involved. And when we're talking with spirit, anyone's spirit, there's a lot of souls and wills of souls that are involved. So it could be me that's just not being receptive for some reason. It could be that they're not sending the messages clearly, because I always say, please bring the messages clearly, because I'll screw them up if you don't.
Yep.
And it could also be the person that is sitting in front of me
Yep.
that is just blocked to it for some reason.
Mhm.
So, has it happened to me? Yes, but I know that it may not have anything, and most likely has nothing to do with me. It
Oh,
has
no.
the timing
It
of the
doesn't.
situation.
Yes.
So yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you just don't click with a person.
Yep.
It's like, or they could be blocking, or they could be sitting there saying, okay, show me.
Mhm.
Those are.
Prove
No,
it to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, you can't take it personally. You just have to move along. Now, does Deborah have any of your qualities? Has she picked up any of them?
When I met Deborah, for those of you who don't know, Deborah's my wife. And we've been together about 7.5 years now. And I have to laugh because today she believes that I have the ability. But when we first met, and I went to meet her family for the very first time, she said, please don't tell them what you do. Let them get to know you first. And at that point, I was really, I'm like going, so I can't talk to animals in front of Well, the second time I went to meet with her family was in the summer, and the mosquitoes were just all over the map. And they had some mosquito things, but the mosquitoes weren't going into it. So I said, well, I'll get rid of the mosquitoes. And Deborah just gave me a look. And I said, okay, guys, look, I need you to go away. Just leave us alone for a few hours. You can come back later tonight when we're all gone, but please go away. And do you know, not one person got a mosquito bite the entire time I was there,
Ah,
and they just left. And we left, and the mosquitoes came back in full force. I was like, why didn't they call me? But I've done that. I think the funniest story is my mother loved spiders. And I said, um, this is a sidetrack. I was living in Vermont and I was at a restaurant and the girl was telling me that she had a spider problem and she was scared to death and she was going to fumigate the house and get rid of the spiders. And I said, no, look, let me just ask my mom to get rid of them for you. And that would be it. So my mom's in spirit. So I said, okay, Mildred, come here. I said, I need you to go get rid of the spiders because she's going to bomb the place and they're all going to be dead. Well, I wasn't there for probably a couple of months and hadn't gone back for breakfast. So we went to breakfast there about 2 or 3 months later. And I said, Wendy, how's the spider problem? She said, oh my God, Linda, they're gone. And I said, oh, thanks, Mildred. So, I get rid of these things like mice and rats. And, you just have to, folks, seriously, just ask them to leave. Just tell them, look, can you go to the neighbor's house? But they will. You just have to be nice about it. I remember seeing a thing on TV years ago when I was a kid. And a guy made friends with the mice in his cabin in the woods. And he would just feed them in a corner. And he just said to them, you have to eat over there in that corner. Please do not come and eat my food. I will give you food. And you know what? The mice would always come in and they go to that one spot and they'd eat their food.
oh, wow.
So, you can work with animals. They'll leave.
The first time I saw an animal communicator on TV was a program, and somebody had taken in a Black Panther, and he wasn't eating. He was really upset, or he just was staying by himself, and they didn't know why. So they called in an animal communicator. Well, the guy said, yeah, okay, sure, bring in an animal communicator. We'll see. Yeah. It's like, ha, ha, ha. Well, so the woman came in and she talked to the animal and he said, well, what's it all about? Well, it seemed that where he had come from, there had been some cubs in the next cage over that he was really concerned about. And that's what he was upset about. So he said, okay, well, we'll find out about that. We'll come to find out that was true. And
Yeah.
she had no way of knowing that, and they found out that cubs were fine. They told the panther that they were fine, and he said, okay, great. And he perked up and he started eating and he was fine.
Yeah, it's amazing what will happen. And there was it's the South Shore Conservatory of Music in Massachusetts in Hingham. And I used to take my friend with Alzheimer's there, and we would pack a lunch on a Sunday, and we go and have, well, actually it was an early evening, and we would go and we would have lunch or dinner and, listen to the music. And there was this dog, it was a golden retriever that used to come over all the time. And he lived because it was in a community setting. So the dog would just come over from his house and visit. And then they would call the owner and the owner would come get him. And they found out where I worked because one day I had a t-shirt on. So they had me go get the dog every time when he'd come over. And I would just walk the dog around until the owners came. So the dog's name was Molly. So I met the owner this one evening and she said, really, honest to God, I would love to know what this dog thinks. She says, I really believe that the only two things this dog cares about is food and sleep. And Molly pipes up to me and says, she thinks I'm an idiot. I've been watching the news and I'm worried about the dolphins in the Gulf because of the oil spill.
Oh my gosh.
And very concerned about the animals that were in the Gulf. This was obviously during the time of the oil spill. Was very concerned about that. But the dog was so funny. She thinks I'm an idiot. And I communicated with the dog a little bit and explained that the dolphins were moving out of the area. They knew when it was oil and they had to move out. And so the dog was fine, but it was just really funny. Like she thinks I'm an idiot. So
Now,
yeah,
has Deb picked up any, is she into mediumship or communication at all or anything?
yeah, no.
Okay.
She actually did a class when Joanne Gerber was doing Rhode Island church. She was there and she was doing a class. And I said, Deborah, let's stay for the class. I would like to stay. She said, oh, okay. And she picked up a boy. Can she do it? Yes. Well, and I really believe everybody can. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and she picked up a boy on a bicycle that was hit by a car and she was very, very upset by it. And Joanne said, that's one of the guides that she actually has that has transitioned. The boy died,
Oh,
but she said he comes to me all the time. And so for him to come to Deborah, she knew it was an easy being to come. So Deborah did, but she's never talked about it. She doesn't. I
really?
think it scares her a little bit.
Does it? Yeah.
It
Oh
does
my
a lot
God.
of people, I think.
But I know you have, Patience isn't your only pet.
Oh, I have a cat, Jordan, who's mine. And Jordan is a very fat, old barn cat. She was a barn cat born in my barn in Vermont. And I think she's like 14 or 15 now. And we were sitting on my bed, because I'm going to be doing this teepee journey and
Yeah.
retreat in Maine. And I was talking to Patience about it. And I, said to Patience, I said, well, Jordy's going to stay here. And Jordy said, no. And I said, what do you mean, no? I mean, Jordy doesn't talk much, okay? Kind of quiet, lazy, fat, get the picture. And she said, no, I'm going with you. And I said, I'm going to be in a teepee. And she said, yes, but I'll be able to go outside again.
Oh,
So I said, okay, you can come. So it's the dog and me and the cat. And then Deborah has Cosmo, who's a little pug and very typically pug. I mean, he is just laid back, doesn't care about anything. He kind of just exists, always wants food. And he's Cosmo, he's a because all of our animals have different personalities,
yeah.
everyone across the board. And so when we have multiples of animals, they all have different personalities, and he doesn't care. He just goes along and he's fine. And he'll let you know. He'll come up and say, well, why aren't you letting me out? Or where's my treat? But he's really he, for the most part, is about just loving up and cuddling, food, treats, and I got to go out and go pee.
Oh, so this teepee, tell me about this teepee thing that you're going to be doing.
Oh, I have to tell you the quick whole story. I was 5 or 6 years old and I grew up on the South Shore and we had quite a bit of land. We had about 30 acres, which is why we had all this stuff out in the woods. And my mom was very big into Indian folklore. So she was teaching me a lot about Native American traditions and all this. And I said, I want to live in a teepee. She said, okay. She went out to the garage. She grabbed the pup tent, set the pup tent up in the backyard, said, go get your sleeping bag. Here, you can go out there and sleep out in the sleeping bag and take your dog with you. I said, okay. So I did that, but no teepee.
Mm.
And I was like 13, 14. And I said, so can we get a teepee now? Am I old enough? And she said, you have a beautiful cabin out in the woods. She said, it's got a wood stove, it's got a table and bunk beds. Go use it. Still no teepee. So at 65, now 67, I said, I got to find a way to do this teepee thing. And when you put the energy out there, if it's meant to happen.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, I put it out there that I wanted to do the teepee thing, and I needed a place to put the teepee. I needed a teepee because teepees are not cheap. They're like $2,000-$3,000 if you're buying a good one. And then you got to get it here from, the West Coast.
Yeah.
My friend said to me, Linda, I have a great place on my land up in Maine, in Springfield, Maine. You can put your teepee up. I said, great. When I called him on it, his wife says to me, who's my best friend, says, Linda, I don't really think he thought you were going to take him up on it. But we're going to go pick out the spot and everything. Then I'm talking to my friend who belongs to a church in Norwell, very active. And I was telling her about the teepee. She said, Linda, you're not going to believe this, but the church has a teepee they don't know what to do with.
Oh my gosh.
So I've now been given an 18-foot teepee.
Oh my gosh.
The trick is to figure out how to get 24-foot poles to Maine. But
Ooh.
one of my friends owns honest to God, one of my friends that I work, client and friend, he says, Linda, I got a 2-room tent you can have. I said, awesome. That'll be good to start while I'm getting the teepee up and everything. And he owns a moving company. His family owns a moving company, and they have box trucks, so they can get everything up there. Now, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to use that. I may actually get myself a trailer. If anybody's got a 24-foot trailer, I could use it. And I've got something to tow it with. So everything has just fallen into place. And my original plan was to do 2 weeks this May 2021, and then go back for a month in the fall. And then the following year, April 2022, go up and live in the teepee for 6 months. I'm pushing 70. And I don't know what my health is going to be in 2 years.
Yeah.
So I have moved it up. I'm leaving in May. I'm going to go up probably end of April, beginning of May, and do the site plan, and then go back up by June. Come home, go back up, get packed up, and go up by June 1st and stay into October.
Oh my gosh.
That's the new plan, which means we have to change one of the dates I have for you in July.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so I've really moved it up, and I've done all the paperwork. I mean, I've done all the planning that I can do. So it's really a matter of getting everything, getting it boxed up, and then getting it up there.
Are you going up by yourself?
With my dog and my cat.
Yeah. Okay. What does one do for food when one is up like that?
I'll eat a lot more beans. I'm going to get a 20-pound top of the round and make beef jerky. I will cook. I'm actually only about a mile from the corner store, so I will have access, and I'll have access to things.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to try and not do that because I really don't want to use my car. I'll start it up and stuff, but I'm going to be on foot. I'm going to take tea, hot chocolate, and probably I'll take some coffee, but I like cream in my coffee, and I'm not going to have refrigeration because there's no power, no water. So I was rummaging people's, this stuff is free. And
yeah.
And I found myself a great box for a little coal cellar. So I'll dig down and then set the box in the coal cellar, and then I'll cover it with a couple of bales of hay or something. I'll have a medicine wheel I'm going to set that up. And then of course the teepee will have a little fire pit in it, just to keep the teepee warm. And if it's pouring, I can, stay dry.
My goodness.
Food, I'm just going to take, 6 months. Well, I'm going to probably take 3 months worth of food and then go out once and replenish the supply. But I don't really need a lot.
Think of the stories you can tell when you need to do some writing while you're there.
I have a journal, and so I'll be writing the journal, but my plan is so that people don't know I'm dead. I'll text Deborah I'll walk up to the car and text Deborah each morning so that she will know that I'm alive. And if I tell her adventures, she can always, go in and put stuff on Facebook or Patient's Tales or something.
Yeah.
So she'll be the only contact other than my friend who owns the land.
Yeah.
Because he has his hunting camp. It's 150 acres, and he's a bird hunter. He loves quail and woodcock and pheasant hunting. So he's predominantly a bird hunter. So he bought this land with fields and everything. I'm probably going to be on a logging landings area. which will be flat and ready to go.
Mhm. Sounds fun. Well, not fun. Sounds different.
It is different.
Yeah.
I've always wanted, I really want to do it. I'm
Yeah.
planning to do 1 week in silence and a vision quest.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping to just tone it back,
Absolutely.
and tone
Why
it down.
not? I think that's wonderful. You're getting the opportunity to do what you've always wanted to do.
Oh, I have to, it's probably one of the few things on my bucket list that I
Yeah.
can do. I always wanted to swim the English Channel since I was little. That's probably not going to happen.
Probably
So,
not.
and I wanted to dive off the cliffs at Acapulco,
Okay.
which is probably not going to happen.
Okay.
But living in a teepee for 6 months, that can happen.
Good for you. I think that's wonderful.
Yep.
You did mention something about Patience Tales. Tell people about what Patience
Oh,
Tales is.
Patience Tales is on Facebook, and it's Patience spelled normal and Tales, Tales. Patience writes every day about her adventures and life as she has it. She likes to really kind of rag on me a little bit sometimes, and the adventures or misadventures as they may be. She talks a lot about love.
Mhm.
That is her goal in life, is to offer love to anybody and everyone.
Yeah.
And she really is probably the ultimate of an example for loving and being kind and gentle. So she talks a lot about love, but she writes every day.
I
And
know she does. I love
likes
it.
to get me up at 4. So we usually get it done before 6, you know. She started this when I was the director of the senior center in West Brookfield, Mass. She wrote a column at Christmas and everybody loved it. So then she wrote one for New Year's, and by Easter, she was writing them every month for the senior center letter. And people were sending me emails and texts and calling me saying, we miss you, but we really miss Patience and Patience Tales. So we started doing it again. And, you know, she's got about 30 people that read it every day. And
I think it's great. I look forward to it every day.
Well, thank
She
you.
really had her opinion when you started talking about living in a teepee.
Oh my
She
God.
really was not excited about that.
Yeah, she thinks I've lost my cookies.
Oh, yeah. Well, this has been great, Linda. Thank you so much. I
Well,
really,
thank you.
I've had so many questions that never got a chance to sit down and ask you about. And this was great. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it as well. It's always nice to just get a time to chat and talk and
Yeah.
have a good time. And I'm amazed that there's an hour's worth of information that I could actually give.
Oh, no, this is great. I really appreciate it. And I
Well,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
And thank you. Enjoy. Have a wonderful holiday.
Well, thank you. You too. And
Yep.
thank you for healing my arm.
I will. I will
You're
do
already
my
working
best.
on it. Yep. Great.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much, Linda, and we'll talk to you later.
All righty. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Are we off?